Okay, hey, Josh here, and
Mike.
we are Must See Before You Die, and we are actually going to be talking about a movie that we both recently just seen, and it's been out for like a month, but we just seen it, and it's Barbarian. Very different horror movie, in my opinion. It did some things that I haven't seen in a horror movie like in a while. I feel like it had a little bit of comedy in it, I would say. Um, I like the cast. I like Tess. The lady that played Tess did a really good job. There's a guy in the beginning. His name is Keith, who is kind of mysterious. You don't really know about this Keith character. Would you say the same thing, Mike?
Yeah, I mean this movie really, and later on we'll warn you about the spoilers here, but this movie definitely took you on a roller coaster. I mean,
well, yeah,
and what you think originally of the movie is not how it ends up. So
that's right. It's kind of in that way. It reminds me of like From Dusk Till Dawn, where you think it's one movie and then it's a totally different movie.
Right.
That's how it reminds me. But and then there's like played by Justin Long. There's a guy named AJ who is in it. I won't go into too much detail about him right here. But he is in it. I'd say like halfway through the movie or whatever. So, what are your initial thoughts on it, Mike?
I thought the same thing. I thought it was a roller coaster ride. On this one, I guess we're going to maybe give it like how many guns, because the guns were used in it to during the movie. But we'll say what, so many out of so many guns, maybe. Josh, does that sound all right to you?
Sure.
I won't say that till a little bit later, but I went and saw it with my wife, and in the very beginning of this movie is really scary. I mean, yes. In my opinion, yes. You don't know what's going to happen. There's some dark scenes. I mean, the movie overall is kind of dark, but there's dark humor in it, which I think you said as well, which I kind of laughed at part of that.
We did too.
Not too many horror movies do you start laughing unless it's something 40 years ago and you're like, what did they do that for? But
right.
It's got a little bit for everybody, I think. You and I may have different opinions at the very end on what we actually thought of it, but it's definitely worth watching. I think it's worth definitely worth watching if you're into horror movies and you're not into the typical easy to figure out type horror movie.
Sure. And so I wanted to just say a couple things. Mike has a couple of facts he's going to throw up here. But it did cost $4 million to make, and I think it made $36 million so far. So pretty, not
doing
bad.
really well.
Pretty good, really.
Yep.
And it's not like, a super, popular studio. I don't think that did it. I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but let's go through some of these, Mike.
Yeah, it's actually 2022 film. It wanted to come out earlier this year, but they wanted to push it back a little bit closer to Halloween. It's written by Zach Kreger. He really pushed this movie, and a lot of people saying we're doubting him that it would do anything, and it did really well in some festivals. And then if you want to go over right here, the third one with the actors.
Yeah, it stars Georgina Campbell. She was excellent as Tess.
Yeah,
excellent.
She was great.
I believed every emotion that she was feeling, and you felt the raging emotions for her. You felt scared for her in the beginning of the movie because you're like, who is this guy that's in this house with her? Like they even made a simple scene of the guy offering her a cup of tea tense. Like, you're like, what did he put in there?
Yeah, and a glass of wine. I mean, you're like, what? It was pretty intense.
And then Bill Skarsgård plays Keith. If you don't know, he also played Pennywise in the It 1 and It 2. And I didn't recognize him.
He's excellent in it.
He's really good, yeah. And Justin Long, who was also very good in this movie. And he's actually been in a couple other horror movies. Just to name a few, he's been in Jeepers Creepers and Tusk, which was very unusual as well. So he kind of picked two unusual horror movies, in my opinion. And then also on Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds the rating of 92%, which I'm on the side of the 92%. I agree it should be certified fresh.
And that 92, and I may be wrong on this, Josh, is the 92 was by the critics. It's a 70 by the people that actually go see it, the fans, right?
Okay, yeah. That's still fresh, I think. Certified
Right, yeah.
fresh. 70,
it's still fresh, yep.
The film is also set on 476 Barbary Street. The year 476 was when the barbarians invaded Rome. Okay,
yeah, that was a cool little fact I found and I threw in here because Josh and I were kind of picking on Barbarian and Barbary Street, and then it's going to find out the address is 476 Barbary Street, and that's the same year that the barbarians invaded Rome. That was kind of a cool history thing thrown in there that you wouldn't have paid
also,
attention
the movie is set in Detroit, and I live in Michigan, so that was pretty cool. So
it's in the rough side of Detroit, though.
Huh?
It's on the rough side of Detroit.
Yeah. Well, but listen though, the neighborhood may or may not have been affected by the one person. Really, I feel like. And this says Zach originally offered the role of AJ to Zac Efron. Efron turned it down, causing Krager to rethink the role and the offer to Justin Long, who accepted. And like I said, I think Justin Long did a great job with the role. I really do. He was the comedic in some elements. He was the comedian, the comic levity or whatever of the movie. I would have to say. There's a certain scene where he is. I guess I'll just say it. He's measuring a bunch of stuff, and it's just freaking hilarious. Like you can't believe how it's like, what are you doing, dude? Do you understand what this is? Like, but he's just worried about money. That's the only thing he's worried about. Yeah. So
we may have to soon give up some spoilers here and say, hey, everybody, this is a spoiler alert.
Okay, spoiler alert, guys. If you haven't seen
spoiler alert right now, if you don't want to hear any more about it, this is a spoiler alert. Kind of going through the storyline and then coming up with some a little bit more details.
Turn it off now if you don't want any spoilers. Well, let's hit them with some spoilers then. So, turns out the basement has like a series. It has like another room off the basement, a secret room, where whoever was there first, which we'll get to that, had like a room where it had a bed and a camera. So you knew it's right when you see that room, it's like you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Right. And
I'm thinking, I'm hoping it's not small kids. I know it's probably like a sex room, sex tapes or something going on.
But then it turns out this goes further. There's another hidden door that goes further down a series of tunnels that I think personally goes around the whole neighborhood to each house in the neighborhood. I do think that because the homeless guy said she moves all around here and comes out at night and you don't know where she's coming from or whatever. So, so these tunnels, there's a room with like bed sheets on the ground where someone's living. And there's a small TV that is playing a tape about nursing and taking care of babies and stuff. So it turns out that there's like this very tall, I'd say like at least over 6 foot woman down there who is very feral, right, Mike? Like, yes, has never seen the light of day. Really, like it comes out at night, but that's about it. It doesn't know anything about society, nothing. It has only been down there and only watched this videotape, Mike.
Naked and dirty.
Huh?
Naked and dirty. So if you have kids, I would advise you, if you have kids, and don't call me a bad person, but we took our son to see it. I did not know it was going to be what he saw. He spent half the movie with something over his head because me and his mother were like, cover your face, you can't see this.
Yeah.
And he is also scarred for life from this.
Yeah. Hey, I think that was I was reading, I think that was actually a man in that suit, like a tall man.
Playing it.
Yeah. So it was like
good.
a full
I'll tell my son
latex
that.
suit. It wasn't really like a naked person.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, yes, it is a naked woman. So fully naked and dark but like totally like just like they explained in the movie that over time, it was like this is a product of the father having a kid with a mom, and then having another kid with the kid of the mom, and then so on.
Definitely some.
It was like a
inbreeding
product
going on.
of incest over like multi kids.
Yes.
So, and turns out there was a guy in the neighborhood that went around kidnapping women and put them in the basement and did these horrific things to these people. And this is all explained in the second half of the movie. The first half is totally tense, and you would never think anything like that until you see that room, and you're like, wait, what? There's more to this then. There's more to this. Yeah. And then that all goes into the second part of the movie. So, yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to say, Mike?
Yeah, to me, there was a switch. There's a switch about halfway or a third through the movie when AJ comes into the movie, and he's an actor, and that's something the movie does too. It kind of goes into his personal life, and it kind of pulls it into the movie as well, which I thought was great that it did that. I kind of. Now, I'm kind of playing my hand right now, but we're getting probably pretty close to telling what we finally thought about it. Yeah. I thought the movie, in my opinion, took a turn in the wrong direction at that point. Now, in saying that, there was still very interesting. I still wanted to watch it. But the first half of that movie, first third to half, was pretty darn intense. I mean,
yeah.
Anybody knows going into a basement or into a dungeon, or like me, used to go into dirt basements and you go down there and it's dark and scary, and that kind of freaks you out though.
Yeah, for sure. Like opening a door and not being able to see where it leads to freaks me out. Yeah. So yeah, no way. And she actually does that in the movie. She opens a door, can't see nothing, and she's like, nope. And that's exactly what I would do. So,
yep,
but no, and like I said, I mean, this is kind of another thing. Like, you think the guy Keith, who's there at the house already, is like a creeper. Turns out he's not a creeper at all.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
He's actually a good guy. So, but then the guy that you think might help, Justin Long, he actually turns out to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
In his own life.
Yep.
And even when he's trying to redeem himself, he still shows a bad card and sacrifices her instead of him.
Yeah.
So, like, he still was a bad guy, and he had a pretty horrific ending, I would say.
It reminded me of a Halloween. I mean, one of the Halloween Michael Myers movies where he kills somebody.
Yeah, I mean, he had a horrific ending. But I will say Tess does get out alive, but you don't know what happens. Or she's just walking in the street, and that's it.
Yeah.
So hopefully she got out. And I will say, I mean, the police in this movie really made me mad.
They pissed me off, man. I'm like, it's like an old school horror movie where they're trying to tell the police, and the police is not listening to them. Like, you're stupid. You're not.
Because they think she's a crackhead because she looked like she looked dirty and all this, but like she said, I've been captured for I don't know how long. Like, what do you think I'm gonna look like?
But when they reflect back to the old time, again, all this is spoilers we're telling you, but when they reflect back to the old, back in the day, and the guy was buying stuff from a local grocery store and stuff, remember his neighbor comes over and says, we're selling because the neighborhood's going down.
Yeah, but it looked like a beautiful neighborhood then, though.
But guess what? The reason it was going down is because he was doing what he was doing. People were missing. Yeah. People were dying. He was preying on people there, and that's why it was going down, probably because of him.
And his name was Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
So, but yeah, I think that's good, Mike. I'm gonna give my rating. I'm gonna say it is 4 guns out of 5. In my opinion, I thought it was good, even though the second half, did take a weird turn. In my opinion, it wasn't a bad turn. I didn't see it coming, so I like that.
Yeah, it was definitely. I think this is a movie that the more you watch it over the years, the more it's going to grow on you. Okay. But my first initial, to me, 3 is average. 3 out of 5 would be average. I would say it's a 2.5 to 3.
Okay.
It's not. I just think they could have done so much more with it about halfway in, towards the end of it.
Okay.
I'd like to see a little bit more, but I will say this: it's worth watching.
Right.
I thought that it's definitely worth watching, and it's different than anything else you see normally with thinking somebody's some slasher killer out there. It's
Right.
definitely different.
It's different, definitely different. So go ahead and check out Barbarian if you have not. Let us know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe to Must See Before You Die. We have a lot more content coming out. We're going to be doing a lot more movie reviews. We got this one's coming out Wednesday, so we got one coming out. We're going to try to upload Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yep.
Correct, Mike?
Yep, Wednesdays and Fridays, and we'll throw a few shorts in here and there.
Sure. Yep. Okay,
all right,
guys.
we'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.